Ooh, it worked this time. Usually it doesn't. Hello, this is Melissa Shaw with Our Generation, where we educate, empower, and inspire. And I am here once again. I know y'all probably thought, where have I been? Because I've kind of been a little low key with my shows. But yes, I'm here with Serita. We met. How did we meet?
Online. We
Yeah,
met just connecting through
yeah,
Facebook and LinkedIn or Facebook. I
yeah. It
can't
was
remember.
Facebook now.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep. So yeah. So again, this is Our Generation with Melissa Shaw. Did I say that where we educate, empower, and inspire?
Yeah. It's Monday. It's
Y'all,
Monday.
let me tell you what. The whole month of it started off like in the mid-December, and then it just has not stopped. But anyway, we are here, and I'm so excited to interview you. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow. Let's see. Where do I start? I always joke and tell people that I feel like I'm on about my third or fourth life right now.
I think, yeah, girl, yes. My friend was like, "How many lives have you lived?" I said, "I don't even know by now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know a little bit about me. A little country girl, born, well, I won't say country, born in the Boot Hill, Missouri, little small town called Charleston. A family moved to Detroit when I was in grade school, so I like to say I was born in the Midwest, raised in the big city, and now I am home in Indianapolis, which is a nice mix of both.
Yeah.
Actually landed here, funny story, in the military. I accepted a position out at Stoutfield with the Indiana National Guard in their comptroller office as part of the USPFO. Um, Fast forward, got married, and my husband absolutely did not like me traveling and being in the military and away for training and school. So ended up getting out of the military in 2014 and started my second life. And so I've been in finance and accounting for the past 15, 20 years and just reached a space in my life where I wanted to step back and not do what was expected of me
Mm,
and pursue some of my passions, one of which was becoming an entrepreneur.
I love it. I love it. So has entrepreneurship been what you thought?
Oh.
So that's a whole nother episode.
It's funny because I've always had a side hustle, like something that I did on the side, whether it was taxes, rent writing, financial coaching. And so I figured, okay, it'll just be a full time side hustle. Culture shock, huge um, awakening. But huh, it's been a journey and not one that I regret.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned patience this past year.
Mm.
I've been resilient, adapted, um, switched lanes, agile, all of those words,
Yeah.
and just really understanding what I want to do for my business and for myself. So now instead of having a side hustle, I call it a multipreneur.
Love it. So what is it that you do?
So first and
At least one
foremost,
of them that you
yeah,
do, because multi means several.
yeah. First and foremost, I am a financial planner and advisor with Credential. That has been one of my passions forever, just helping people navigate their financial lives and really live the lives that they enjoy. Um, Secondly, is just an extension of some of the things that I did in the military, where I worked in sort of like a human resources information systems type field. And my business, the Docs Agency, does background screening services for small to medium sized businesses. We support those businesses who may not have the staffing or the resources to conduct thorough background screenings for their employees. Because I always say your employees are your greatest asset, but also your greatest liability, and you want to start making sure you're choosing the right people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when did you start that business?
So I started that business about a year ago. I started doing research actually in late 2023, and I came up with the business concept and figured out, how do I make this happen? How do I pull all of these things together? And then after I had the idea, I kind of tested it out, in a few um, home healthcare agencies that I just made contact with. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Can I see if this will work for your business? Took that business concept and went through the free business training that was offered over at Edna Martin Christian Center.
Yep.
Shout out to Punkin Davenport. and Emmanuel Ivy in that program, and that program really just connected me to resources and just helped me validate that vision that I had.
I love that. And you had mentioned about, you did research and then you came up with a concept. How important was that?
Oh wow. There were different phases, right? Because you write out a business plan, you write out what you want, and the idea that I had in my head kind of morphed a few different times. And so you kind of go through this proofing phase where you've got this plan on paper and now you have to see if it really works.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through a phase of, is it scalable, right? Because it was just me going into these multiple systems. And then it was, who else is doing this? And if they're doing it, what's going to set me apart? So I went through that phase and just creating those partnerships. Got a national partnership with Verified First. And then through that partnership, signed my first national client out of Charlotte. So
Congratulations.
thank you. So just it's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So what do you offer? You mentioned
Yeah.
background screenings,
Yeah.
drug testing, or
So yep. So
okay,
our goal is to be the one-stop shop. So if you have a need for background screening, credential verifications, we do the I-9 verification program, which is part of the USCIS, the Immigration's United States Customs and Immigration Department, now rolling out their E-Verify form, and I believe is going to be mandatory
mm,
at some extent with everything that's going on with
yes,
immigration and whatnot.
yeah,
And so credential verifications, we also have partnership with companies like LabCorp, Quest Diagnostics, where we can help with DOT physicals, bringing on some partners to do TB testing and things like that, so we can really help coordinate everything you need from a background screening perspective for your
okay,
employees.
I love that. So what have been some of your wins?
Ooh. I think the major win for me was a partnership with Verified First, because that really opened me up to be able to service more industries.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons that I chose home healthcare agencies and daycare and childcare facilities in the beginning were because they required the same type of screenings and background checks. And so I could use the resources that I had assembled to
Mm-hmm.
do both of those at the same time. But now I can get into transportation, I can get into manufacturing and warehouses, who all may have different requirements, but I can meet that requirement because now I have this national company and their platform that I can work through.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So where are you located? Because you have a brick and mortar now,
I
right?
do. I do have an office located over at 56 and Post inside of Harrison Center. We sit right behind IHOP, which is horrible for me.
I bet.
But right in between the dental office and the physical therapy office, see clients by appointment. So, clients can visit our website, give us a call, and come in and see us, and we can help you with getting things set up. And then also on site, we can do things like fingerprinting. So, if
Mm.
you require fingerprinting, we're an authorized live scan agent, so we can do the electronic and the ink fingerprinting. We can also do things like passport photos and notary services out of that location as well. And one of the things that we've recently gotten into is immigration document prep, because a lot of people don't know that you don't need an attorney to help complete documents. If you know what documents you need and you haven't had any run-ins with the law, we
Mm-hmm.
can help you complete those documents for much less than you would pay for an attorney. We
Yeah.
do partner with attorneys so that if we do run into that issue or we have to consult, we can consult with those attorney partners. So yeah.
So you still do financial
I
too?
do. I do still do
Do
financial
you do
planning.
that with businesses or individuals?
Um, well, mostly individuals and business owners, small business owners, because I do set up some simple IRA plans. Like if they own a business, we can do some business planning. Um, but financial services has been my first love. I started as a life insurance agent at 19 years old, and it just kind of grew from that.
What
So,
was it about it that kind of just was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do?
oh man, so believe it or not, I was about 5 or 6 years old when my grandfather passed away in Missouri, and we had this insurance agent named Elsie Bone that used to faithfully come by my grandmother's house, and she worked for American General Life Insurance. Um, and that just kind of stuck with me because she had been part of our family for years. You know, my granddad died, and then my grandmother passed away in '92. She continued to come by, and that was just one of those staples that stuck with me. You know, having those final expenses taken care of. And I told somebody just the other day, that house in Charleston, Missouri, is still in my family. My
Nice.
aunt lives there now. But much more than life insurance, I want to help people live because you have to enjoy your life. While you're here, you don't always want to be thinking about what you're going to leave behind and who's going to get what, but actually planning to live. And so that's why I went into financial planning.
So how, if you can just give just a small brief, what does that look like? For someone like to live and be financial, like how does how does that work, especially for a business owner? Because I think business owners, their mindset is just make money, make money, make money.
Exactly.
But you want at some point that money to work for you.
Yes, absolutely. So I like to say that 75% of everything that we do, the lives that we live, is somehow impacted by our finances. And no matter where you are on the spectrum, whether you feel like you're living check to check or you feel like you're well off and you make enough money to live the lifestyle you desire, there's always more. There's always a strategy that you can work towards. And with a financial planner, we can help you from everything from budgeting to cottage planning to send kids to school, estate planning, tax efficiency, planning for major purchases. Heck, I can even help you, get out of debt. And that's just how robust the financial planning can be. And so I always say, no matter where you are, it's always great to have that financial resource in a planner because I'm really like the quarterback to your financial life, right? Helping you navigate the different milestones in your life.
And I want to circle back to the IRA because most business owners, myself included, don't really think about retirement because we're a business owner, entrepreneur. Like that's what I'm going to do. What are some things that they need to consider when thinking about retirement, and how important is it to do it sooner rather than later?
First of all, I'll start with the importance of doing it sooner rather than later is you have more time to accumulate that nest egg. Um, Two, sometimes we don't really think about retirement until we get to that age that is close to retirement.
You're like, oh, well, damn, I'm more going on this side than I am on that side.
Yeah, we get to 50, 55, 60, we're winking at retirement and we're wondering, oh, can I make it happen? And the idea is to shift that mindset to say, hey, how long am I going to be able to do this? How long am I going to be able to maintain and work at this capacity? What happens if I can't work or if I become disabled or if something happens, my business goes under and I no longer have that income. So you want to plan ahead to where you create options for yourself, the option to continue to work or the option to sell your business or the option to pass it along to heirs or children. And that's the mindset we want to live in, is creating options, not just for retirement, but options for longevity. What happens if you're going through a midlife crisis and you decide you don't want to do this anymore?
Right.
Right.
No, for real.
But have you properly planned to make that pivot and to make that movement? And some people just have not thought of it in that way.
Yep. About you do life insurance, so I'm gonna pick your brain just a little bit.
Okay.
So when it comes to IRAs and life insurance, which is the best? Now, this probably may not be a good question, but if you want to answer, fine. If not, say schedule an appointment and we'll talk more. But I hear a lot of people say, don't put your money in IRAs, put them in life insurance. It's so much information out there. It's so just like, and I know this what people do. I don't want to do none of it.
Yeah. So I would say schedule an appointment. But it's also about strategy. Like, what are your goals? What are your priorities? And that's where a lot of what you should do lies. I have people come to me all the time and ask, hey, should I get term insurance or whole life? Which one is best? Should I put my money in an IRA? Or I'm hearing a lot of people talk about max funding IULs these days. So it really depends on what your goals are and what your strategy is. One of the things that I do is I sit down and I educate my clients about the different types of investment buckets that you can have. And ordinarily, um, you begin with your 401k at your employer. Ideally, you are either maxing out your 401k, but or at minimum taking advantage of that 401k plan so that you can max out whatever your company is willing to match. Mm-hmm. Once you have that 401k, if you have that 401k in place, you can't do an IRA, but you can do a Roth, because now that Roth is going to be the overflow from that 401k. That Roth is only going to allow you to contribute the maximum, and that maximum is whatever the government has set aside for 2024, $7,000. So anything over that has to go to the next bucket. So what is that next bucket? Then that next bucket becomes funding a life insurance policy. And once again, it all depends on strategy. Are you saving taxes? Are you trying to store up income so you don't have to be 59 and a half before you access it? Mm-hmm. So it all depends on strategy.
And so I like this because I think, and there's a consensus across the board, because I have other friends that are in the financial, and every single one has said, what are your goals? Yeah. And again, we always think the here and now, we don't think beyond. Mm-hmm. I'm guilty of that, but now that I'm 47, I'm thinking, well, yeah. What do you want to do? Do you want to retire? Like I always say, I'll never retire. I'm always going to work. Yeah, I don't know about all that right now. Yeah. I want to be on somebody's beach. Right. Yeah. So really thinking about it, I feel like, because I work with a lot of young people and I know a lot listen to my show. Even that age, like 20 something, is the perfect age to really figure out. And it's going to change. You're going to live several different lives, and that's okay. But you got to at least have something that because even if you're your own employer, there's still options for you. Yeah. You may not have anybody matching, but even if you start off on a small scale of thinking about that, and then once every 10 years, you can revisit and say, okay, now I'm in a different spot. Maybe I need to do this. And like you said, you got to be agile. You got to pivot. You got to jump lanes. You got to sometimes do backflips.
Yeah. And one of the things that I really like is that the finance industry as a whole is becoming much more relational than transactional. And what I mean by relational is these relationships that you build with your finance professional typically last a lifetime, because your life is changing at different phases, and you want someone there with you to help navigate those changes. And I really love that, because professionals are shifting away from just selling you a life insurance policy, or just telling you to invest X amount of dollars, to creating that relationship and really understanding, what your goals are now or in the future. Because my goal at 20 was nothing like my goals now at 40 either. So life changes, and if life changes, your goals will change. As your goals change, your financial plan should change.
Yep. So where do you see? So does both of those tie in together, like both of your businesses?
They do not. They are completely separate, which I am glad that they don't, because as a finance professional, sometimes you're limited as to what you can do and who you work with, and because they're in completely separate industries, there's no conflicts there.
Gotcha. So what else is those the only two things
those
that you
are
do?
the only two? Yeah.
Okay, I love it. So where do you see yourself in the next 2-3 years? Like, what is some of your goals that you want to accomplish?
So for myself, is really building both businesses to where I'm bringing people alongside me. I've never been one to be like a gatekeeper. I love to share all the information that I have. Love to share what I do and teach other people what I do, because there's strength in numbers. So that's the first thing, really building out both businesses, bringing people alongside of me, and bring awareness to both businesses. Another thing is just, one of the reasons that I came into entrepreneurship, and I know it sounds crazy being an entrepreneur, is having the flexibility, not being beholden to huge corporations and their 9 to 5. I won't call it propaganda, but
no, absolutely,
just having that freedom, and within entrepreneurship, teaching people the freedom that you have with entrepreneurship. And I laugh at it, because I work almost 3 times as hard for myself as I have for any company.
Yeah,
but I don't have the stress.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm doing it for me. I know what my goal is, and I'm in charge of that outcome, and that's what I love about it.
And I know, like, from the flexibility is huge. Like, me and my brother was talking the other day, and he was like, be thankful that I can go to these doctor's appointments with my mother, that I can have the flexibility to kind of maneuver my schedule to where I don't have to ask permission.
Yeah.
I don't do good about doing it anyway. I don't like to ask permission for nothing, so to be able to just, and entrepreneurship really gives you that. And I think that we don't talk about that enough. It is hard and stressful, but really look at, like, you pretty much can wake up in the morning and be like, you know what, I ain't feeling it today.
Yeah.
Now it will affect your pockets.
It does.
Because I always tell people I gotta not chase after my money, but like I have to go get it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be like, you know what, I just want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
I want to clock in, but for the most part, it's better, to be able to have that.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And the journey that I've had this past year, I wouldn't change any of it. Like the growth, the experiences, the connections, I wouldn't change any of it.
I love it. So, and you kind of alluded to this earlier. What I always like to ask entrepreneurs, what have you learned about yourself during this journey?
What I have learned that I am a procrastinator. But I do some of my best work under the gun.
Right. And that is not good, though.
It's not a good thing.
We used to always, would say, oh, I work good under pressure. Yeah, that is not an accolade.
It is not. It is not. And so I've learned to be more intentional and better organized when it comes to planning my day and my time. Keeping up with my schedules, like even tonight, I know I emailed you, and I really wanted to say.
Thank goodness she did, because I was not in that middle space.
No, but I really wanted to say, go ahead, let's move it to next week.
I almost did too, but I was like, nope, I'm gonna give her the option, and I'm glad you chose. And we did it because, like me, it's like, oh, what I can do today, I do tomorrow. But why not do it today?
Absolutely. So it's like, nope, she's up the street. I'm going to go and I'm going to get this done. I'm not going to put this off.
Yeah.
And here we are. So really learning that about myself, and then learning to get out of my comfort zone. I've always considered myself an extreme introvert. And sometimes I'm in spaces and people will ask me like, huh, introvert? But I am, like, I'm very quiet, very reserved. I like to be in familiar spaces, and being an entrepreneur has taken me into some very unfamiliar and uncomfortable spaces. So learning to navigate those spaces, and learning that I don't always have to be the expert in the room. So that's my thing.
Yeah.
Well.
Do you what do you do for personal development, or to kind of keep your cup full? Because we juggle a lot, and being an entrepreneur drains a lot. So what do you do to fill yourself back up?
So, I read. Reading is one of my great escapes.
What do you like to read, fiction or nonfiction? Or both?
I like to read both. These past 2 years, I've really been nonfiction, self-help books. Finished Atomic Habits. That is a book that I started and I put off, but I found
the name.
Right. But that book, just finished at the beginning of this year, has been like a game changer for the way that I think about things, and just moving the needle little by little each day. So that has been awesome. Reading a book now about telling your story, using storytelling. As an entrepreneur,
which this was practice for you,
right? Telling impactful stories to draw people in, and that has been eye-opening, because I love to talk, and I love to talk about me, and so that's been really great. And then of course there's also the professional development side, and things that I read on that side that kind of help me stay abreast of what I'm doing. So I read a lot of finance books. So I haven't read any new ones this year. I think last year I topped off at about 12 different finance books, from Dave Ramsey's books to quite a few, Robert Kiyosaki's 2 books. And, so just keeping myself, because I want to, be informed.
One of the books I just finished is called The Untethered Soul.
Mm.
Have you heard of that book?
I have not.
Oh my goodness. That book is so good. And
I
it's
will
a
have
really
to look.
easy, I would say, no, let me take that back. It's an easy read, but it makes you have to put the book down because now you have to look at yourself.
Yeah.
It just really helped me to not attach to things.
Mm.
Life is about events and things are going to happen regardless of whether we want them to or not. And if it's already happened, our energy that we dispel sometimes are for nothing because you can't change the outcome. It's already there. So it really helped me to look at things differently, even on personal, but even when it comes to business. And then I'm also reading The Miracle Morning. That book is so good. You should read that. And then I just started listening today to Mel Robbins' new book, Let Them.
I've heard a lot. I have that on my list to read.
Yep. So
Oh my
just the first, it's 10 hour on audio, but just the first 15 minutes, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be good.
yes, I love it. That is definitely on my list this
Yeah.
this week. I think another one of my Facebook friends posted that she had read it, and I just love hearing other people's insights because it's like, oh, now let me go and read and see what
Mhm.
it's about. So I
Mhm.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. So where can everybody find you at?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn, Serita Kent. I'm on Facebook, not as active on Instagram under Serita Kent. My website, www.docsagencyllc.com, and then www.docshubindy. Um, and yeah, I reach out to me. I love connecting people with people and love meeting new people. Love hearing other people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've found so many connections in just hearing people's stories, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
I
thanks for
appreciate it.
having
I
me.
appreciate you sharing your story, but also sharing some insights that sometimes we don't get to see the person behind the scenes, and so that's one of the things that I really love about my show is I'm able to show people like these are real people,
Yeah.
and we deal with the same things, but we still
Yes.
continue to move forward. And if you're in a space where you're wanting to throw in the hat, wait till tomorrow,
Yeah.
because I've learned that okay, tomorrow make your decision,
Yeah.
and then it always is different. I
Yeah.
don't feel the same way than I do in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was someone that told me, you can quit for the day, but tomorrow
I love
you
you. Better show me your ass. You better have
you
a
better.
staff meeting with yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you. And thank
Thank
you all to my
you.
listeners. This has been Melissa Shaw with Our Generation, where we educate, empower, and inspire. And please reach out to her on the financial side. And I know I have a lot of home health cares and child care people out there in the land of the OGs. So please definitely reach out to her so that you can get assistance also. And her information will be in the description below. We are out. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I don't stop.